There are a lot of reasons why you might want to get off your cruise ship as early as possible on disembarkation day. I mean, nobody wants to get off their cruise and end it, but sometimes you just have to do that. You might want to also know what are the secrets to getting off the cruise ship as early as you can. Well, I'm spilling the tea on exactly how to get off your cruise ship as early as possible. To be clear, you don't need to get off the ship as early as possible if you don't want to. Royal Caribbean allows you to stay on the ship until about 9 or 9:30 or so. And then at that point, they very graciously encourage you to get off the ship because they need to get ready for the next passengers. But for a lot of people, there's a lot of good reasons to get off the ship very early. You might have an early flight to catch. You might have to get to work because you need to drive there. Or simply you want to rip off that Band-Aid and get off the ship. So the first secret to know about getting off the ship as early as possible is you need to be carrying your own luggage off the ship. Royal Caribbean gives you the option of having your luggage taken off the ship for you and delivered into the cruise terminal. That's where those luggage tags will be. They give it to you on the last night of the cruise, and you're supposed to put them on your luggage and then put them in the hallway and then wave goodbye to them as they are delivered for you, and you'll see them later on in the cruise terminal. The problem with this strategy is that requires, of course, the luggage to be delivered, and it takes some time. And those numbers that are on your luggage tag correspond to a time that your luggage will be delivered. So what that means is if you want to be the first ones off the ship, that won't work because the people who are their own luggage that they're carrying off are the ones that are able to get off the ship. So if it's a priority for you to be literally the first people off the ship, then do not leave your luggage out in the hallway. Now, the downside of this is that means you need to carry your own luggage off without any assistance by Royal Caribbean. So if you're on a shorter cruise or you pack lightly and have small bags, that's not a problem. But if your luggage resembles more of a traveling circus, I'm looking at you, Erica, then this might not be the option for you. Or at least maybe book a cabin close to the Royal Promenade or the Sun Trim so you can easily carry it off the ship. But you need to consider those logistics and how realistic that truly is for you. Sure, there are elevators working in the morning, but the elevators can be very busy. Not to mention the fact that if you have many bags and you've got kids who are useless to carry those bags, it can be really a huge burden trying to actually get them off the ship. You'll need to carry the bags off yourself, but once you're in the cruise terminal, there will be porters there who can help you at that point. So as long as you can get it off the ship, down the gangway, you're pretty much good to go. But think about that logistically. The second secret to know about getting off the ship as early as possible is there's not an exact time that you can bet on as to when you can actually get off the ship. Even if you're ready to go with your bags, it takes time for your cruise ship to dock and get cleared by local authorities. Now, when you look at your cruise documents, Royal Caribbean gives you a time on there. I might say like 6 a.m. as an example. But trust me when I tell you, that is a rough estimate and not actually when you can get off the ship. This is a very common misconception. The exact time that a ship will begin allowing passengers to get off the ship will depend on a variety of factors, but it's usually right around 7 a.m., sometimes earlier, sometimes later. In fact, on Utopia of the Seas, an icon of the seas, for whatever reason, they've really got that down to a science, and those ships have begun the disembarkation process a heck of a lot earlier than other sailings. When I was on Enchantment of the Seas, we were still docking at 7 a.m., so it can take some time. Whether or not the disembarkation process has begun or not, there will be a line for the gangway that starts to form. Now, Royal Caribbean tells you in those documents you're going to get on that last day of the cruise where you can go to relax, and there's different lounges depending on your luggage tag numbers or if you're doing self-assist. The idea there is that you can sit, relax, have a cup of coffee, and wait to be called. But I find that if you truly want to be among the first to get off the ship, you should get in line for the gangway. There will be signs around the Centrum or the Royal Promenade that indicate, hey, this is where to go for the gangway, and naturally a line forms there. And of course, people waiting in line there will be among the first to get off the ship. Now, there's two hacks or ways around really this line. Number one is if you buy the key. Now, I've talked about the fact that I don't love the key, but the key is the VIP program that you can buy into on a Royal Caribbean cruise. It gives you certain benefits, and one of them is priority disembarkation. Basically, there is usually like a separate line for the key. Ask the crew members when you're getting off the ship, hey, I have the key, where can I go to disembark? And there's either a lounge or a special line just for them, and they'll basically escort you to the front of the line. The other option is if you're staying in a suite. So if you booked a grand suite or higher, not a junior suite, but grand suite or higher, then you can speak to the concierge before the last day, and they will tell you where to go on disembarkation day. The concierge will then escort you off the ship. And what that really means is they'll cut the line. So remember that big line that everyone else is waiting for to get off the ship? Well, the concierge literally cuts the line. You're going to get some dirty looks, but I've done it many times. Don't let them bother. You won't see them ever again. But they're going to get you right to the front of the line and off the ship as early as possible. Truly, the concierge is probably the most reliable way to get off the ship as early as possible, short of being like the first 10 people in line for that gangway line. When my kids were younger, staying in a suite to have priority disembarkation was like such an easy button to press that we often did it many times. That's not to say that we don't do it all the time now, but it is a really nice perk to have that. In addition, if you're staying in one of Royal Caribbean's newer cruise ships like the Icon class, the Quantum class, or the Oasis class, and you're staying in Star class, well, your Royal Genie can get you off the ship like even faster than that. It's amazing those benefits the Genie have. Again, I wouldn't say that you should book a suite or have a Royal Genie specifically for the benefit of walking off the ship as early as you can, but it's certainly a nice benefit to have, and if that's important to you, that's something that you should consider. So now that you have this information, you're thinking to yourself, all right, Matt, what's the earliest flight I should book after the cruise is over? Because I want to be able to take advantage of these tips you're giving me and get home a little bit faster. Because oftentimes you're looking at flight schedules and there's always that one morning flight that could get you back home so much earlier than the 3 o'clock flight, which you're spending a lot of time wasting around in the airport. The problem is if you book a flight too early, you risk missing the flight because you couldn't get to the gate on time. And this really boils down to a lot of factors that are hard to guesstimate in advance, like what time your ship actually docks, how long it takes local authorities to actually inspect the ship and approve it for disembarkation, how long a line there forms for the disembarkation line, and then other unforeseen circumstances like maybe traffic in the cruise terminal or a technical problem or somebody just blocking the exit of the ship because they don't have their seat pass card. As a general rule of thumb, I recommend times after 11 a.m. for a flight. International flights, or if you're going to an airport that's an hour or more from the cruise terminal, should probably require a flight no earlier than noon. Again, it obviously depends on where you're cruising into, where the airport is, if you're a resident of that country or not, but I wouldn't book anything before 11 a.m. It's just too risky, and I don't need that kind of anxiety in my life personally. And I also wanted to share what everybody should do before you actually leave the ship, because if you're like me, you're in a rush, you want to get off the ship, and that morning brain is not functioning at 100%. So if you're in the rush to leave the ship, there are a few important things to do before you disembark. And these may seem obvious, but I'm telling you from experience, I've forgotten a few things along the way. Number one, double and triple check you have all your belongings, because once you leave the ship, getting lost items back is a real challenge. Common items left behind on the ship include children's toys, so check under the bed, chargers and wall sockets, and valuables in the safe. The next thing to do is verify that your onboard balance is zeroed out. If you have a credit card on file, that's pretty much assured. But if you had a cash account, you will need to settle up with guest services. Otherwise, when you get to the disembarkation point, you're going to be denied and turned around to get back to guest services. Speaking of your account, I would recommend taking one last look to review any charges on there to verify that it's all correct. You want to correct any erroneous charges before you disembark the ship. If you ordered photo prints, this is your last chance to get them or order them, even the digital ones, because once you leave the ship, you cannot order prints or pick up prints you already ordered from the ship. It's like once you leave the ship, they disappear. So that's it. Likewise, it's actually your last opportunity to book a cruise at Next Cruise if you wanted to. I mean, this probably flies in the face of trying to get off the ship as early as humanly possible, but you could book another cruise at Next Cruise the morning of the disembarkation process. The Next Cruise office is open. And lastly, return any pool towels that are still in your room, or you'll be hit with a $20 under-return towel fee. What I usually do is go right up to the towel station and be like, hey, do I have any towels left? And, just get that zeroed out just to triple check on that. Once you make your way to the gangway, you're going to scan your CPAS card for one last time, and then that's it. You can keep your CPAS card, throw it away. It's up to you. As you move through the cruise terminal, it's kind of similar to maybe what it's like in an airport when you fly home after an international trip. First, you'll make your way to pick up your luggage. Now, again, if you're carrying your own luggage off, well, you're going to bypass all of this, but you'll see them there. As I mentioned, there will be porters to help you with your luggage. If you'd like to, there's no cost to use the porters, but it is expected to have a tip. When I'm there with my kids and my family, got a lot of luggage, I will use the porters every time. Paying somebody $5 in a tip in order not to carry luggage and throw my back out the morning of the cruise being over is worth it every single time, in my opinion. After retrieving your luggage, your next stop is to clear immigration. In the US, there's two lines: people traveling with passports and people traveling with birth certificates. In most US ports now, there's facial recognition, and that's reserved for those with passports, and it's super fast and super efficient. You simply walk to a machine, it scans your face, and tells you if you're good to go or need to speak with somebody. 99.9% of the time, you're good to go. The birth certificate line, though, is slower because it requires an agent to inspect your documentation manually. After you clear immigration, you'll depart the cruise terminal. At this point, you're on your own to find a way home. There will be taxis, shuttle services, ride shares, and of course, maybe even your own car waiting for you. But you should have a plan in place prior to the morning of how you're going to get home to avoid complications or unexpected delays. Well, there you have the secrets to getting off the ship as early as humanly possible. Carry your own luggage off, have everything packed and ready to go for that morning. And if you want to, you could book a suite or book the key in order to get a fast pass line, if you will, to get off the ship just a little bit faster than that. In my experience, the disembarkation process begins somewhere between 6:30 and 7:30 a.m. Again, depends on the ship, the port, and a variety of other factors. But hopefully this information will help you get off the ship as fast as humanly possible. Let me know in the comments below, did I miss any tips or any things that could really improve your chances of getting off a cruise ship early? And if you have any questions about what it's like to get off the ship and any concerns you might still have about disembarkation, post them down there, we'll help you out. While you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way YouTube lets you know we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. We'll talk again real soon.